Welcome to section 6 of immunodeficiencies. In this section, we'll be discussing Job syndrome. Let's get started. This scene will take place back during the biblical time of Job. For those of you who aren't familiar with the story, Job was a good man who suddenly lost everything. His family died, he became sick, and his friends believed he must have committed some terrible sin as a result. So as you can see in this image, Job has lost everything. His house burned down in the background, he's sick with a rash on his face, and he's crying out in sorrow near a family member who died and is now wrapped up as a mummy. Anyway, all of these Bible references should help you remember that this image is all about Job syndrome. To make matters worse, we've added a dictator to the scene who is causing some of Job's suffering. He's proudly standing over Job with his royal staff and reveling in Job's suffering. He also brought his servant along, and we can see him holding a glass of ice-cold water just in case the royal dictator gets thirsty. We use this symbol in our microbiology videos, but for those of you who don't know, the staff is our symbol for Staphylococcus aureus. So this, along with the ice, should help you remember that patients with Job syndrome present with cold, non-inflamed staphylococcal abscesses. Now notice that the servant is poking Job's arm, and because of the curse, his bone suddenly cracks. Normally, bones are pretty strong and don't break when being lightly touched, but in the case of Job, they do. Again, this is because he's cursed. Anyway, this idea is here to help you remember that patients may present with bone fractures from minor trauma. Next, notice that Job's mouth is wide open as he screams in pain and sorrow. If you look closely, you can see that his teeth are kind of disfigured, popping out in weird angles and such. I guess the curse has also deformed his teeth. In any case, this is here to help you remember that patients with Job syndrome may present with retained baby teeth. Unfortunately, things are getting worse for Job before they're getting better. Notice that now he has a rash on his cheek right next to all of his coarse facial hair. The rash and coarse facial hair should help you remember that patients may present with coarse facies. Job is using an old remedy, which includes cracking an egg and smearing it on the injury. The word egg sounds like eczema, which should help you remember that patients may present with eczema. A common practice back during biblical times was to place lamb's blood near the entrance of the house. We can see that Job has completely covered his door in lamb's blood in hopes of not being additionally cursed. However, this hasn't seemed to work for Job, and we can see that the royal dictator has caused some guards to go bust down a door that's part of Job's house. We can see little fragments of the door flying behind the guards, and these resemble eosinophils. We've included this to the image to help you remember that findings include eosinophilia. The guards aren't just invading Job's home, however. Notice that they're also attacking one of the villagers, who stands watch at the bell tower. We can see that the villager has the number 17 written on his shirt, and is trying to fight off the royal guard with a T-shaped flail. These two ideas should help you remember Th17 cells. The fact that he's yelling, "We need help, stat," should help you think of a STAT3 gene mutation. So putting these two ideas together should help you remember that Job syndrome is caused by a STAT3 gene mutation, which results in a deficiency of Th17 cells. Next, we can see some people in the market who are a bit oblivious to what's going on around them. They're too interested in trading and selling these intricately designed plates. If you look closely at the plates, you can see that they resemble neutrophils. As you can see, they're not helping Job or paying much attention to the guy yelling for help in the tower. They're more interested in the market. Also, the bell in the bell tower is cracked, so it's probably not working very well, and the villager is unable to effectively warn the people in the market. In other words, the people that represent neutrophils are not moving around or helping fight off this attack. This idea is here to help you remember that in this disorder, neutrophil recruitment to the site of infection is impaired. These two kids are especially oblivious to the chaos. They're just minding their own business, playing an old-fashioned version of dominoes. The dominoes should help you think of autosomal dominant, and remember that another name for this disorder is autosomal dominant hyper-IgE syndrome. Finally, you can see that we've shown the royal dictator's army marching towards Job. Notice that they have banners with green emeralds in the middle. The banners are kind of shaped like an immunoglobulin, and the E in the word emerald should make you think of the letter E. So this will be our symbol for IgE. The fact that there are a bunch of these guys should make you think of increased levels of IgE. So patients with Job syndrome have elevated levels of IgE. All right, that should be everything you need to know about Job syndrome.